get back to that breaking news out of Martin County.
Sheriff William Snyder holding a news conference after a 19-year-old student was arrested at South Fork High School. Let's listen in.
Special needs student sent it to his mother. His mother alerted law enforcement and notified the school. And the mother contacted the school. When the bus arrived, I think the intended victim, and I'm not clear on that, but someone in the bus, another child, grabbed the suspect, the special needs student, by the backpack. He thought that knife was in the backpack, and he held on, delayed the student. The bus driver had contacted law enforcement by that time in the school. It's an area in the school where students will get off the bus traditionally. It's on the west side of South Fork High School. So almost immediately our school resource officer deputy, who was in the area, and 4 other administrators from the school intervened. The student was extremely aggressive. Our deputy said that he was enraged. They couldn't make sense of what he was saying other than he was threatening to kill people. Our deputy immediately deployed his taser, fired a taser. It hit the suspect, who by then was running. Unfortunately, one of the probes hit the backpack and it had no effect. He then deployed a second cartridge on the run, reloaded his cartridge, reloaded the taser, fired again, same thing. I think that time one of the probes either missed or maybe hit something on the backpack. There were students right there in the area. There were four employees of the school board, 4 administrators, and they surrounded the boy and put themselves between him and the other students. I mean, you can imagine the other students doing what young people do rather than disperse, kind of stayed around to watch what was going on. Our SRO attempted to negotiate with the suspect, try to talk him into putting the knife down. He would not put the knife down. He had it out. He continued threatening, saying he wanted to kill people. He was extremely agitated. And then at that point, our deputy did draw his firearm, hoping that he wouldn't have to use it, facing that life or death situation. But one of the school administrators, Mr. Moody, am I correct on that? I think the assistant principal.
Assistant principal.
We'll let the school board superintendent talk about that in just a second. Former football coach, I believe, stout man, took his belt off and was getting in behind this special needs student. Our deputy saw it, took it so that there would be no crossfire, and at great risk to himself, Mr. Moody took the belt, wrapped it around from behind, pinned the young man's arms to his side. He was 19 years old, quite strong, and was able to wrestle him to the ground. And everybody, then they wrestled with him and got the knife away. The student was not harmed. No other students were harmed. For now, we have Baker acted or involuntarily committed the suspect to a mental health receiving facility in Fort Pierce. I have been in touch, we have been in touch with the state attorney's office. I don't think it's likely at this time that we'll have charges because of his special needs. I'd like to compliment again, Ms. Gaylord, your people on the scene were heroic. I'd like to compliment again the 10th grader. Saw something and said something. This thing could have been so different. I want to be careful not to overstate it, but it clearly could have been a tragedy. The 19-year-old could have been shot. There could have been somebody else hurt with that knife. It was by God's grace that we got through this, and good training on the part of the sheriff's deputy, phenomenal training on the part of your school board staff, and it worked out like it should have worked out. So with that, I can answer any questions or turn it over to Ms. Gaylord.
Sheriff, do we know what sparked this student to brandish the knife in the first place?
Yeah, you're asking me what sparked it. We know there was a death in his family recently, and we think because of his special needs status, we may never know exactly what he was thinking when it happened, but he's well known to the school, he's well known to the deputy. Fortunately, that's the big thing about the school resource officer program we were talking earlier, is that our deputies know these children. They know some of them do have different needs than others, and so they were able to de-escalate it without using deadly force.
Did he ever threaten anyone tonight?
Yeah, Angela's question is, did he threaten anyone with a knife? The answer is yes, he did. He threatened someone on the bus. He threatened people. We got off the bus. They said he was very enraged. So yeah, it was in a traditional situation, we would be charging him with aggravated assault and other charges, but probably not going to happen in this case.
Had he ever had any trouble with the school before?
Why don't I turn it over to our school superintendent.
Since this is all unfolding right now, I don't have that information. You know, this is an active investigation at this point. But, you know, again, it goes back to everything that we've trained our students to say. You see something, say something, hear something, say something. And with our great partnership with the Martin County Sheriff's Office, this situation averted what could have been a really dangerous situation. And, you know, that relationship, a school resource officer on our campus knew the student, our administration, and all of these personnel are trained in de-escalating these situations. They're trained through Crisis Prevention Institute to be able to de-escalate a situation, whether it's in a verbal or a physical abuse situation. So all of them receive training. There are crisis teams on every campus. So you know, everything worked the way it was supposed to work today, and we're thankful for that.
How are the other students doing who were on that bus with him?
Well, obviously, an all-call went out to all students to inform them and their families about the situation. You know, the heroic action of really the student and our staff prevented any other injuries. So there were no injuries in this situation. So,
was the school on lockdown then?
no, I do not believe it was on lockdown. This happened so quickly. It was, the school hadn't started yet, and they were able to, the school administration, the school resource officer, they were able to contain the student before he got into the area where all the other students were.
On the bus, when he shows the knife to the other student, was there an attempt to notify the bus driver or pull the bus over? Because in what we heard from the sheriff, the bus actually makes it to school.
Yes, it does. I don't know exact details, but I don't think so at that time. From what I understand, the student did send a photo home, which they notified the school, but as the student's actions at the time he got off the bus, he did state that the student has a knife. So not only the student, but also the bus driver, you know, called out that there was a knife, and the school resource officer was there, and also school staff was there to start to come to where the student was getting off the bus.
Do you know the distance between where the student was taken into custody, or I guess gotten under control, the distance where that happened between the bus? Like, did he run a couple hundred yards, or did he make his way, you know, into school, or what's up with that?
Yeah, Will's question is how far from when he got off the bus to when he was finally apprehended. I looked at it this morning. We were guessing by football fields. It looked like it was right at 35 yards. So he gets off the bus. He gets to the entrance of the school through the fence, still with the knife, everybody trying to talk him down. He takes off on a run. We deploy the taser. It doesn't work. Redeploy. It doesn't work. About 35 yards later, the school and the SRO, the school staff, put themselves between the enraged student and the student body and stop him at great risk to themselves. I mean, he didn't have a machete, he didn't have a shotgun, but he had a rather large knife. And it was been more than enough knife to have it plunged in deeply enough to been a fatal wound.
Superintendent, do we know, was the suspect a senior, junior?
You've been listening to Martin County Sheriff William Snyder describe an event this morning at South Fork High School where a 19-year-old was arrested after it was discovered he was wielding a knife.
I think one of the things that you automatically take away is just a quick response. We saw a quick response yesterday at Ohio State and now here at one of our local high schools. And one of the things, Roxanne, you automatically commit to memory is how they stopped this student. One of the football coaches, I believe he said, took off his belt and used it to kind of pin him down, and really putting himself in harm's way there.